Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Instant Insight podcast. At Global Data Strategic Intelligence, we track over 100 tech, industry, ESG, and macro themes impacting all major sectors. I'm your host, Martina Raveni, and today I'm joined by Rupantar Guha, Practice Head in the Strategic Intelligence team, and by Anisha Bhatia, Senior Analyst in the tech team here at Global Data. Today, we will have a discussion on their recent report, The Future of Personal Devices. We will deep dive into the evolution of personal devices such as smartphones, smartwatches, hearables, and discuss what these developments mean for the consumer. I would normally start asking what do we mean with personal devices, but while I was flicking through your report, this headline caught my attention, and the headline was from with me to on me. The smartphone is no longer the star. Instead, it's powering the wearable revolution. So, with this powerful introduction, I will hand over to you, Rupantar, to walk us through this theme.
Thanks, Martina, for having us. Now, let me first establish what personal devices are, because it's not a clear thing. So these are devices that an individual owns and uses directly to access information, communicate, work, or even manage daily life. So these are devices that are typically linked to a person's identity, data, and preferences. Now, you are very right to start with that phrase, with me to on me, because it signals a much deeper transition than just a new gadget cycle. So, in simple terms, the smartphones are still at the center of our digital lives. We use them for communication, navigation, entertainment, payments, almost everything. But innovation has clearly slowed. So, think about it. New models look very similar to each other. Upgrades feel very incremental. Replacement cycles are getting longer, and prices keep rising. So, many people don't feel the urgency to upgrade anymore.
I see. And what about wearable devices like smartwatches?
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was coming. Now, beyond smartphones, we look at wearables like smartwatches, hearables, rings, and there are various other types. But here's the reality that most wearable devices still depend on the smartphone for processing power, connectivity, or management. In addition, they are often unable to do anything unique that a smartphone can't do. So, in the near term, nothing is truly positioned to displace the smartphone.
Not in the near term, but let's say by 2035, could the landscape look different from the one you just explored?
Potentially, yes. We are already seeing smart glasses, AI native wearables, and early brain computer interfaces in prototype stages. All of them kind of point to the same direction that computing is moving closer to the body. So, whatever the next dominant device be, it likely won't sit in our pockets. It will sit on our face or eventually integrate more deeply with us. Over the next decade, the shift won't just be technological, it will also be philosophical. So we'll move from devices that are with us to devices that are on us.
And what device do you anticipate being the next big computing platform for in general consumers?
Over the next 5 years, we anticipate that smart glasses will function as smartphone companions. They will handle a lot of context sensitive tasks such as audio based navigation, message previews and replies, live translation of languages, and quick calendar checks. Smartphones will still remain central to activities that are sort of complex, like video streaming, social media, and gaming.
Okay, so smartphones will remain central, but do you anticipate smart glasses that in a way could replace smartphones?
Think so. So you see, the Meta smart glasses have surpassed 9 million units in sales worldwide already. Now, as AI grows more capable and hardware becomes lighter and more efficient, users of smart glasses are likely to check their smartphones less frequently. The transition will, however, not be abrupt. It will be rather incremental and behavior driven. Consumers are today in an experimental phase. So they are testing new interactions rather than replacing their smartphones outright. Once this reputation turns into resilience, displacement will follow naturally.
Thank you so much. That's really interesting. Now moving to Anisha, that we set the scene, I wanted to ask you, what are the key enabling technologies for future personal devices? I'm pretty sure you will mention AI and something about connectivity, but like you know much more than me. Can you dig a bit further on this?
Absolutely, Martina. So AI and connectivity are the headlines, but the deeper story is how they combine with a few other breakthroughs to make devices feel less like tools and more like sort of helpful companions. So the first step is ambient intelligence. That's just basically AI working both on your device and in the cloud so that your phone, earbuds, watch, or headset can act more like a sidekick, just anticipating what you need, adjusting how it presents the information to you, maybe translating on the fly, coaching you, even sending safety alerts. The goal is less tapping through menus and more of, it just helps.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, it's not just smarter apps, it's the whole devices becoming um I can say proactive.
Exactly. And that leads us into the second enabler, which is contextual sensing. So future devices will have a much richer sense of what's going on. Your movement, your health signals, the environment around you, whatever you're looking at, whatever you're hearing. So when you put all of that together, the device can build a real-time understanding of you in your world. That's what enables things like more predictive wellness support or digital overlays that actually match what's happening around you.
Okay, so we spoke about ambient intelligence and then we spoke about contextual sensing, that it's awareness. And what about how we control these devices?
So that's the third piece, natural interfaces. So instead of constantly poking at a screen, control now becomes more like how we already interact in the world. So looking, speaking, gesturing, moving our hands, even subtle head movements. It's all about making interaction feel effortless. Point at something, you ask a question, you get the result, all without breaking your flow. And connectivity matters here, but in a more sort of invisible way. So, ubiquitous connectivity, which could be through 5G, could be through 6G, even satellite, turns your personal devices into a sort of team. So, your watch, your phone, earbuds, and headset can hand tasks off absolutely seamlessly. They can stay synced and support live collaboration. So the point isn't speed for its own sake, it's that your experience stays continuous wherever you are.
And to enable this, are the screens themselves changing too? Like, what do you think on that?
Oh, big time. So adaptive displays are another major enabler, which means like a foldable screen or a modular design, lightweight head-worn displays. The experience can shift from a normal phone moment to something more immersive when needed without requiring a completely different device for every scenario.
Okay, and looking at a bit different angle on this, all what you just said sounds to me quite power hungry. How do we avoid killing the battery life?
Sure, and that's where edge silicon comes in. New generations of specialized low power chips that can handle AI, graphics, sensing, and connectivity more efficiently. So the practical benefit is huge. You get faster responses, there's better privacy because more can happen on the device itself, there's longer battery life, and ultimately thinner, lighter devices. And maybe even devices that feel like they're barely there. And to sum all this up, the future isn't just a better phone. It's a mix of ambient AI, rich sensing, more human controls, always available connectivity, more flexible displays, and efficient on device processing. And all of this is working together to make personal devices more seamless and more helpful and less demanding of our attention.
Sure, I'm getting the big picture, but of course there will be challenges to arrive to achieve that. And I wanted to ask you, which are the main challenges that persist in the development of these future personal devices?
Oh, definitely. And there are a few big ones. And they're mostly very human practical limits, not just can we build it kind of a scenario. First is battery life and heat. So as devices try to do more, they burn more energy and get warmer. And if something feels hot, needs constant charging, or drains fast, people just won't stick with it.
Yeah, makes sense, but what else slows things down?
So there's fragmentation, which is too many platforms, mixed standards, and sort of unclear must-have use cases. If developers and brands can't build experiences that work smoothly across devices, growth stalls. And with more AI features, trust becomes a big factor. So, privacy, data governance, and keeping AI up to date are absolutely huge. If the system makes mistakes, feels creepy, or isn't transparent about data, people will lose trust and companies will face legal headaches.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting area that we've been covering, but and this leads me to my next question about adoption because people can be resistant to change. So, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. That's a major challenge. User habits and comfort, so to speak. So, always on devices can feel intrusive, a bit socially awkward, or just plain exhausting. Even if the tech works, people have to want it in their daily lives. And even form factor and comfort play a role. If it's bulky, heavy, or just plain annoying to wear, it won't become mainstream, especially for AR, VR style gear.
Yeah, I agree. They need to be handy and they don't need to be creepy, but yeah, that's a good point. And are there any areas that are especially sensitive?
Oh, absolutely. Anything invasive like BCIs, which is brain computer interfaces, or medical grade features, these bring serious safety and ethics questions, plus strict regulation, which can slow adoption dramatically.
Thank you very much. And now, returning back to you, Rupantar, just to give a bit of introduction to our listeners, the report you wrote talks also about the four different phases of evolution for personal devices. And this ranges from technology that is aware of its surroundings right up to devices that disappear altogether and exist at one with the human body, as we discussed so far. So, Rupanta, can you give us a rundown of this evolution timeline that you and Anisha have developed?
Sure. I would first want you to start imagining a world where you don't reach out for your smartphone. You have all technologies on you and it knows what you exactly need. So that's the direction we'll be talking in. Now, as you correctly said, the report kind of looks at four different phases of how personal devices will develop in the future. So let's start with phase one. We call it ambient intelligence. This is the phase we are already in. So smartphones, it is still in the center, but it is surrounded by wearables like smart rings, hearables, smartwatches, and we are starting to see AI native wearables as well. These devices quietly understand your location, they understand your schedule, they even understand your basic biometrics and only show you information when it matters. So this means you spend less screen time and there is more awareness. AI runs directly on your devices and the services start becoming as important as the hardware itself. From here, we move on to the next phase, which is spatial intelligence. This is when the smart glasses go mainstream. Instead of looking down at a screen, information appears in front of you. So directions, messages, reminders, anything you may say, is layered into the real world. The real challenge here isn't better graphics. That's what most companies are trying to get to. But the main problem here is about avoiding visual overload. So the glasses must know when to show you something and when to stay silent. As battery life improves, the glasses will begin replacing many smartphone tasks. Some of those we already talked about. And the companies will start shifting from selling devices to selling trusted AI subscriptions.
And that's something that we're starting to see this phase arrive, aren't we? Because that's quite interesting. And yeah, you mentioned ambient intelligence and spatial intelligence. What's next?
Yeah, yeah. So from here, like subsequently, we enter the third phase, which is biointegration. So in this phase, what happens is technology has become aware of your body. Lightweight sensors and early brain interfaces start monitoring things like stress, mood, and health. They don't read your thoughts, but they understand your energy levels too. So your AI just doesn't just know your calendar, it also knows how you feel. In this phase, privacy and neuro rights will become very, very critical. And business models will move toward health, wellness, and optimization services. Before you ask me any other question, I'll move on to the fourth phase, which is neurodigital symbiosis. Here, devices disappear altogether. So advanced brain computing interfaces enable silent, thought based interaction. So, no screens, no voice commands, just intention. Technology becomes internal, possibly even self powered. The focus shifts to longevity, personalized medicine, and continuous optimization. And at that point, trust becomes everything. Because when your technology moves from your pocket to your face or to your body or to your brain, the real product isn't the device anymore. It is the relationship between you and the machine, which is an absolute case of hyperconvergence.
That's really, really interesting, and I personally think you, Anisha, did a great job to put all this together in a quite digestible way. Thank you so much. Moving back to Anisha, this evolution that Rupantar has just laid out isn't set in stone, of course. It may manifest itself in different ways and move at different paces. So, in terms of timings, of course, can you give us some possible examples of how this personal devices evolution may develop?
Oh, absolutely. So we anticipate three scenarios, all of which will move towards spatial and biological computing. The difference will be how fast smartphones fade and how deeply tech integrates with the body and brain. So, scenario one is baseline, which we believe is the most likely, in which smartphones remain the AI hub until around 2035, with wearables adding proactive, sort of context aware support. AR glasses go mainstream in the mid to late 2030s. BCIs, which are brain computer interfaces, they stay low bandwidth. Biosensors are niche, and the revenue blends hardware sales with AI subscriptions. Privacy rules will expand but remain incremental. So that's scenario one. Scenario two is the optimistic version, which is based on fast progress in verticals, in which wearables and AR glasses take over daily interactions by the early 2030s, making smartphones secondary. What happens here is strong global standards enable seamless context sharing. Medium bandwidth BCIs will allow basic intent prediction, and continuous biomonitoring grows. The revenue shifts towards AI first ecosystems and premium cognitive services backed by formal neuro rights frameworks. Now, the third one, scenario three, is speculative, and which is entirely based on breakthroughs happening, in which smartphones completely disappear by 2035, glasses and bio-integrated systems dominate, which are supported by high bandwidth neural interfaces and self-powered internal sensors. The environments respond automatically to intent. The business model here centers on longevity and neuro wellness subscriptions, and thought level security becomes a fundamental human right.
Thank you for that, Anisha. Definitely seems to me that the personal devices will be an exciting space to watch in the next decade. What does this development in personal devices mean for the consumer? And do you have any final thoughts to leave our listeners with?
You see, every major computing shift has followed one principle, that is reducing effort. So, take for example desktop computers. Those devices centralized digital work. Then smartphones made computing more mobile, and wearables normalized glanceable, easy interactions. So from there, smart glasses represent the next logical step by removing the need to reach for a device at all. If you zoom out, that's really what this entire evolution is about, lowering friction between intention and action. So smartphones aren't disappearing tomorrow. In fact, they'll likely remain central for years, but their role is changing. Innovation is shifting away from the slab in our pockets towards systems that are more ambient, more contextual, and eventually more integrated with our bodies.
And final question, where do you see the real innovation opportunity?
In our view, the real disruption won't be about hardware. It will be about trust, data ownership, and who controls the intelligence center, or you may call it the intelligence layer that sits between you and the world. So as computing moves from with us to on us and potentially inside us, the winners won't just be the companies with the best devices. They'll be the ones that earn long time uh, user trust. Because the future of tech isn't just smaller screens or better cameras or longer battery life. It's a redefinition of the relationship between humans and machines. And that shift will be as philosophical as it is technological.
Thanks both of you. Thanks Ruparta. Thanks Anisha for those instant insights. I find really interesting speaking with you. You can find more about the future of personal devices report on our intelligence center and as always in the episode description. Thanks all for listening and from us in Strategic Intelligence. See you next time.